Now here's a quick challenge for you. Find me a single SEO job listing that doesn't mention the word AI. Go ahead, I'll wait. It's extremely difficult. We recently reviewed over 100 general SEO job postings. 96% of them mentioned AI somewhere in the description. So your SEO team in 2026, it can't just be good at SEO. It needs to be able to optimize for visibility in a world where AI is changing how people search, how they find brands, and how they make decisions. Now, I'm not saying traditional SEO skills don't matter anymore. They absolutely do. Keyword research, technical optimization, link building, none of that is going away anytime soon. But here's the difference. People don't just Google things anymore. They ask ChatGPT, they search on Perplexity, they get answers from AI overviews before they even click on a link, and your brand either shows up in those answers or it does not. That's a new problem, and most SEO teams aren't set up to solve it quite yet. In this video, I am going to walk you through how you can build a winning SEO team in the era of AI. I've split this into two parts. First, I'm going to cover 3 specific skills your SEO team needs right now. Then, I will give you a practical framework for actually getting those skills onto your team, whether you train, hire, or outsource. Let's get into it. Part 1, the 3 skills your SEO team needs now. I want to be clear about something up front. These aren't 3 completely new disciplines you need to learn from scratch. Most of them build directly on what your team already does. They're extensions, not replacements. But they are the gaps I see most SEO teams ignoring right now. Your team probably tracks rankings, organic traffic, and click-through rates already. Those metrics are still important, but they don't tell you whether your brand is showing up in AI-generated answers. And that, my friend, is becoming a bigger and bigger piece of how people discover brands online. So, you need some new numbers on your dashboard. Numbers like, how often does AI cite your content? How often does your brand get mentioned in AI responses? Which platforms are picking you up and which ones are not? And when your brand does show up, is the mention positive or is it negative? This is still a new space, so the tools and methods are evolving, but solutions like Semrush's AI Visibility Toolkit already exist to help you track this. The key is making sure someone on your team owns it. Whoever handles your SEO reporting is the natural fit. It's not a separate job, it's a new layer on top of what they're already doing. Here's one of the biggest differences between traditional search and AI search. When someone asks an AI a question, it doesn't serve up your whole article. It grabs small pieces of various articles and synthesizes them into one response. And if LLMs don't understand pieces of your content without its context, they move on, grabbing something clearer from another source. So your content needs to be written in a way where each section can stand alone. If someone pulled out just one paragraph without reading anything above or below it, would it still make sense? Would it still answer a question? That's the bar. Say you sell running shoes and you've written a guide about choosing the right pair. You have a paragraph on trail running that opens with, you'll want to keep the same factors we discussed for road running shoes in mind when shopping for trail runners too. That's fine for a human reading the full article top to bottom, but not for AI. It's just not ideal because it depends entirely on whatever came before it. Now imagine that same section opens with, when choosing a trail running shoe, prioritize aggressive tread, ankle support, and water resistance over cushioning. Same topic, same section, but the second version gives AI a complete usable answer without needing anything else around it. That doesn't mean you should never reference other sections of your content. You absolutely can. The goal is just to make sure your key points can stand on their own when they need to. This final skill is a big one. AI doesn't look at your website alone, it pulls from everywhere your brand appears online. G2 reviews, Reddit threads, news articles, industry blogs. If those mentions are sparse, outdated, or negative, AI has less or potentially worse information to work with when someone asks about your product or your industry. This means your SEO team can't operate in a silo anymore. They need to coordinate with PR, customer success, and community teams to make sure your brand's presence across the web is consistent and up to date. For example, Your SEO lead might work with customer success to encourage reviews on platforms like G2 or Trustpilot, or they might monitor how your brand gets discussed on Reddit and in industry forums. No single person can own this entirely, but someone from SEO needs to take the coordination role, connecting the dots between all these different teams and making sure off-site presence is part of the overall strategy. So those are the 3 core skills your SEO team needs right now to stay competitive as AI reshapes how people search. AI performance tracking, writing for AI extraction, and managing your brand's presence beyond your own website. Now, you might be looking at this list and thinking, how do I actually get these skills into my team? That's exactly what I'm going to cover next. Part 2, getting these skills onto your team. To get these skills onto your SEO team, I recommend a simple framework: build, borrow, or buy. Build means training the people you already have. Borrow means bringing in outside help, like a freelancer, a consultant, or an agency. And buy means hiring someone new. Most teams won't pick just one. You'll probably end up doing some mix of all 3, but knowing when to use each one is what counts. So let me break it down, starting with the one I would recommend first: training your existing team. This is almost always the smartest place to start. Why? Because your current team already knows your brand, your audience, and your workflows. That context isn't something you can just outsource. And the skills we just covered aren't entirely new disciplines. They're extensions of what your team is already doing. Your analysts can add AI visibility metrics to their existing reports. Your content writers can learn how to structure content for AI extraction. Your off-page team can start looking beyond just building links and posting on social media. Start small. Pick 1 or maybe 2 skills that are closest to what your team already does well and build from there. The one thing to keep in mind is that training takes time. You probably won't see real traction for a few months, but it's the most sustainable option because once your team learns this stuff, it compounds with every campaign they run. But sometimes you need a specific skill faster than your team can develop it. That's when working with a freelancer, a consultant, or an agency makes the most sense. Let's say your team needs AI visibility tracking set up, but nobody has done it before. You can bring in a consultant who builds the whole system, trains your analysts on it, and then steps away. Your team owns it from that point forward. Or maybe you have 500 pages of content that need to be restructured for AI extraction. Your writers could do it, but it would take months alongside their regular workload. A specialized content agency can knock that out much faster while your team stays focused on new projects. The goal isn't to hand off responsibility permanently. Honestly, it's just to fill a gap, get the work done, and either move on or bring that skill in-house over time. Now, the third option is hiring. Sometimes you don't need a temporary fix, you need someone on your team who owns this full-time. When you're hiring, look for someone who is already working on AI optimization and understands the emerging trends. Someone who's been tracking how AI platforms cite content, experimenting with visibility tracking, or building AI-focused SEO strategies. That hands-on experience and curiosity is what you're hiring for. Hiring works best when the skill is both specialized and strategic. For example, you might hire a visibility analyst who can build and own your AI performance dashboard from scratch. That's a specific outcome you're hiring for, not a vague or fancy title. The reality, most teams do a mix. In practice, most teams land somewhere around 70-20-10 split. Roughly 70% built internally, 20% borrowed from outside experts, and 10% brought in through new hires. That split won't stay the same forever, of course, and it shouldn't. What you borrow today might become a core skill on your team 6 months from now. So every quarter, take a step back. Look at your mix. Where are you still leaning on outside help? Does that make any sense, or is it time to bring that skill in-house? Where is your team strong and where are there still gaps? That regular check-in keeps your team evolving instead of getting stuck in one setup. Now, if I were in your shoes and I had to prioritize, here's what I would do this week. Map the 3 skills we covered in this video against your current team. Who already has some version of each skill? Where are the clear gaps? Then, for each gap, decide, am I going to build this internally, bring in outside help, or hire someone new for it? None of this requires a massive overhaul, just clarity on where you are and what you want to do next. I have dropped some useful links in the description that'll help you get started. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.